so we are going on Facebook now. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we are there now.
So I think we can get started with this session today. Um, just to introduce myself, my name is Mohan Sapru. I'm here in Washington, D.C. It's really a privilege and honor to host this session. It's a kind of series from GKPD with regard to meeting the stars of the Kashmir Files. And today I'm really, really excited to really have a conversation with a very inspiring and dynamic team, I should say, who have played a seminal role, a key role in the production of the movie, The Kashmir Files. This is the Agarwal Arts Company. We will talk more about it a little bit more. I just want to kind of keep the audience aware that we'll be discussing several aspects of that. So I just want to say good morning, good evening, good afternoon to the international audience. And to our guests, Abhishek ji, Mrs. Archana Agarwal, and Kali Sudhir ji, I want to say very humbly to you all, as well as to our Telugu audience members, Andreke Namaskaram. I'm really excited to have you with us today. Just to briefly introduce here our guest, we have, as I mentioned, Abhishek Agarwalji with us. Some of you may be knowing that he is born and brought up in Hyderabad, obviously in a business family. And based on what I have read about them, they were traditionally more involved with, financing and real estate kind of investments for quite some time. And I think about 7-8 years back, they seem to have now gone more into producing and financing and marketing movies, mostly in Telugu movies. And some of you probably know about some of the very popular Telugu movies which they have produced. I won't get into all of details of that, but it's important to know that there have been several hit movies they have already produced there. And I think in this case, with regard to Abhishek Agarwalji's, as I said, key contribution to this movie and some other movies that he's currently involved with, I won't get again into too much details, which have some social message or life story kind of messages for those movies. He's involved with that. And along with him is his, I would say, Dharam Patni, Mrs. Archana Agarwalji. She has been a partner with him for producing this movie. And also a dynamic CEO of the company, Kali Sudhirji, is with us. And we will have a fascinating conversation on several aspects with regard to production of this movie. And we also have with us our GKPD founding member, as well as I would say the one who is leading us here, Dr. Surinder Kaulji. And so before we get started with the overall conversation, I want to invite Surenderji to especially thank our guests on behalf of GKPD. Surenderji.
Thank you, Mohanji. Namaskar to all the audience members who are joined in. I'm Surinder Kaul. I'm based in Houston. So today is a special moment for our community that the Kashmir Files, the seed that was sown, you will see a lot of intricacies that has remained hidden. And today is the moment that we want to share these gems to our community for the laudable efforts they have put in. So Abhishek ji, Sudhir Kali ji and Archana ji, heartiest welcome to this webinar, and you are being watched by our community all around the globe. as now you are aware that what happened with this community in 1990s in Kashmir was so brutal that the whole community had to become victim of genocide and ethnic cleansing because of our faith. Now we are in our 32nd year of exile, and now in this 32nd year of exile, we are seeing a lot of activities because until now, this whole story of our genocide and ethnic cleansing had remained under the rug. So I would like to say to my community members that we have always believed in art of giving. Now, once our story remained hidden and the Kashmir Files story, this whole plan came out, obviously we don't have the funding of rich companies who invest in the movies. So I know when Vivek Agnihotri ji went public about that he's making the movie about the genocide and ethnic cleansing of Kashmiri Hindus in the valley. So we have these three stalwarts, Abhishek ji, Sudhir Kali ji, and Archana. Without knowing what Vivek ji is doing, without knowing the script of this, the first check to the Kashmir Files was issued by these three stalwarts. And this is the power of art of giving. We know that we become smarter and smarter in the art of taking, how to take from here, there. But here is a big example of art of giving. And art of giving without even knowing that just on the subject matter of our cause, they issued the first check to the Kashmir Files. And perhaps that is the speed it took. And then people got associated with it, like Z Studios. So there's a saying कि लोग जुड़ते गए और कारवां चलता गया. So thank you so much, Abhishek ji, Sudhir ji, and Archana ji. Our community will remain indebted to you for this very, very kind gesture. And may God bless you and yours. And may God give you in multiples and multiples of what you have given, because for us, this is a yajna. And in this yajna, any ahuti that is given will be returned in multiples. So on this note, heartiest welcome to all of you. It is a proud moment for the community that the peoples from outside community and the people who make a difference are associating with our community and our cause. And that is why we are able to tell our stories at a global level. Thank you once again. Back to you, Mohanji.
Thank you, Surendraji. Thank you so much for that, introducing it and setting the stage for us to carry on. I think before we get into a little more details about the movie production and the Kashmir Files, uh, I'm always kind of curious. I'm sure so many audience members there are curious also. I wanted to ask this whole group, Abhishek ji, and any one of you who could, is that before you got associated with this movie, The Kashmir Files, uh, have you ever heard anything about Kashmiri Pandit genocide or forced exodus? The reason I'm asking is because majority of the people, one of the tragedies about this whole episode is that while this was happening, killings were happening in Kashmir, rapes and exodus was happening, somehow, uh, not only the rest of the world, but the rest of India never seemed to have ever gotten a clue about it. which is something really shocking, which we really, more and more audience members, at least in US, I can say, who watched the movie, The Kashmir Files, one of the common questions we always got from them, whether it was Americans or non-Indians or Indian diaspora, how come we didn't know it? How come the world doesn't know about it? So my question to you was that before this really you got involved, had you have any information, any kind of knowledge about what was happening in Kashmir in 89, 1990? Abhishek ji?
Abhishek sir, answer.
नमस्कार सुरेंद्र जी, सभी जनों को मेरा नमस्कार। आई वार्मली थैंक एवरीवन कि आप लोगों ने मुझे बुलाया है यहाँ पर। It's okay if I speak in Hindi or you need English only?
Yes, whatever you're comfortable. Absolutely. हमारी इंटरनेशनल ऑडियंस है, जैसे आप लोग।
तो जैसा कि आपने पूछा कि कश्मीर के बारे में पहले ही पता था क्या बनकर, इतना डेप्थ में पता नहीं था सर, लेकिन इतना पता था कि वहां पर कुछ हुआ है, क्योंकि हमारे ग्रैंडमदर, हम लोग भी ना हरियाणा से है, हैदराबाद में हरियाणा से यहाँ पे आके मेरे ग्रैंडफादर बसे हैं, और हमारा ट्रैवल का काफी ज्यादा होता है। मेरे ग्रैंडमदर, मेरे ग्रैंडफादर काफी पूजा पाठ, पंडित हमारे घर को आना, पंडित शुड कम टू आवर होम, काफी पूजा पाठ का हमारे पास शुरू से ही वो चीज में है। तो डिस्कशंस के अंदर दे यूज्ड टू अ पॉइंट यूज्ड टू कम, एंड व्हेन आर्टिकल 370 गॉट एबॉलिश्ड, वो टाइम पे मैंने थोड़ा रिसर्च किया कि आर्टिकल 370 डिबॉलिश क्यों लगा है, क्यों डिबॉलिश हो रहा है, इतना हंगामा क्यों चल रहा है। तो उसके बाद फिर हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया, सुधीर भाई से मैंने डिस्कस किया, वो कहानी, एक लंबी कहानी है इस चीज के बारे में, हाउ डू वी गॉट इनटू दिस कश्मीर फाइल्स। विवेक जी के पास गए, विवेक जी वाज थोड़ा कि तुम करोगे क्या, तुम कर पाओगे नहीं पाओगे, ही वाज आल्सो लिटिल बिट ऑफ सोच रहे थे कि ये सब्जेक्ट बोल्ड है, इट हैज टू बी इन दिस वे दैट वे, मतलब चीजें, मतलब बस वो दिन पे वो करना होता है, तो मतलब इट्स लाइक आई वांट टू डू इट, एवरीथिंग गॉट स्टिच्ड easily, got connected easily, and I think it was destiny that I should meet you all my sisters, brothers, maybe एक हिंदू, कट्टर हिंदू आदमी हूँ सर, so I should meet the world. So ऊपर वाले का, I think I believe in God, so God wanted us to meet, so it was just a medium of meeting Kashmir Files, I can say that.
Wonderful, wonderful to hear that. I just wanted to address Archana ji here. Archana ji, I know you have been partnered with your husband in this production. Few words from you about how you felt interested in this movie, or what was your initial take about investing for this cause?
Hello, everyone. I joined my husband 2 years back. I never knew anything about Kashmir. This thing all happened and all. I knew Kashmir only by a beautiful place, and this all happened. I never knew. But as Abhishek was working on this, and as he was seeing all this, then I came to know about this topic, and I was really very happy कि he was, and then Kali Sudhir भैया से भी पता चला, and I was really very happy they are doing such a great thing कि ये चीज मुझे ही नहीं पता थी तो कितनों को पता नहीं होगी, and I was really very happy for him कि he was doing such a good cause thing जिससे सबको सब कुछ सच्चाई पता चले, and as on it went on, and then I started with him और उनके achievements पर अच्छा लगा, and I started going back of him, and when he was investing, he was doing, I was really proud of him and always supported him, and lucky enough he's done such a good thing, so happy for him and happy for everyone. Through this we got connected, really happy for that.
Thank you. क्यों आप पता अभिषेक जी और आप इतने इंस्पायरिंग हमारे लिए क्यों हो, क्योंकि जब आप लोगों ने इस मूवी में इन्वेस्टमेंट किया, इनिशिएटिव ले लिया, उसके कारण आजकल विश्व भर में लोग ये फिल्म, ये मूवी देख रहे हैं, और जानते हैं कि इस कॉज में इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए आपका कितना योगदान रहा, उसके लिए really बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप लोग दोनों का.
Thank you to you all too. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So I think one question for Kali ji, I think purely speaking from a business point of view, I was curious about to know from you as the CEO of the company, what kind of thought process and thinking you had in a company when you started thinking about whether or not to invest in a movie like the Kashmir Files. I do know that, generally in the business world or in the film world, we know that movie production is a very complex process these days, involves a lot of investment, many times needs famous stars to drive it, as well as sometimes technology to put the special effects and all that. So there's a lot of process going on in terms of investment, in terms of the marketing. So what was the thinking of the thinking of the overall company when you started thinking about really putting money into this movie?
Good evening, all. Namaskar. Good morning, all, wherever you are. And world, welcome to our world called Kashmir Files. Welcome here. And let me start like this. See, me and Abhishek were sitting in one minister's house for his appointment. It went on, we were supposed to get the appointment in half an hour, but the meeting went on, we could not get the appointment for 3 hours. That was the week when abrogation of Article 370 happened. And we were sitting there, and suddenly Abhishek sir told me, why can't we do a movie on 370?
Oh.
Then I said, Vivek is already announced something like this. Then he said, call him. So because Vivek is part of our own ecosystem, where I work very closely with something called Indica, where Dimple is very much, in fact, I have to thank Dimple Kaul, your own, Kashmiri. So she's the one who, we all together in one ecosystem, she's there. And Harikiran Vadlamani is there. Many of you know him. So what I did, I called Harikiran Vadlamani and asked him, can I go and meet Vivek? He said, this is a very serious subject. It's a non-commercial kind of, there will be no stars, there will be no dance, there will be no singing, there is no typical masala kind of movie. This is very intense, he said. And I told the same thing to Abhishek sir. Abhishek sir said, nahi yaar, chodo sab, we'll go to Bombay, meet him. I want to make a movie on this. Because by then, it was 1 week post the abrogation. By then, Abhishek sir was very clear that, and he Googled everything, because most of the people, because I am into politics, so I am aware of what has happened in 89. I know what has happened in 90. I know before that, that was not the first. So there were a lot of things which happened. And in 1947, what happened? So I am aware, because I am into politics. So I am aware of it. He said, no, I have Googled. I feel very bad. I am associated with this, and I want to really see this happen. Then next day, we both went to Bombay. That was, I'll tell you the date. That was on August 4th or 5th, August 10th, if I am right. So we went there, we met him. He asked only one question. Isme tumhare ko paisa nahi aayega. Zyada paisa lagana padega. There is no commercial element. And this may hit, may not be a hit movie. And Abhishek ji told only one thing. Forget everything. I am ready to invest the money in this. I want people to know the truth. I want, because this is the most powerful medium. See, he told, we can always make a documentary. We can always make one, National Geographic channel make doc, but the audience will be limited. The voice will not be heard. The strongest medium by which you can propagate what actually happened is only cinema. And luckily, Mitunda joined, Anupam Kher joined, Puneet Isarji joined, and the kind of hard work it went through. We have seen 2 waves of Corona. That is what, when we are doing something big and when we are doing something life-changing for so many people, we have to go through a lot of hardships. Kurukshetra Yuddha iske liye nahi hua ki sab अच्छा. Kurukshetra Yuddha hua hai so that sachai jeete. So we have to go through all this. We have to do all this. And I know the pain. I know the sorrows. I know the agony. I know the stress. I have so many Kashmiri Pandits as my friends. I know their pain. In fact, today morning, I was so emotional. I wrote a lengthy mail. I don't know, you could read that. Because I feel so emotionally attached to this. Every day, in fact, whenever I meet any political party, anybody, before abrogation, I used to tell Article 370, hatao, and people don't know what it is. I used to explain them. Arey Baba, ye log, they are our own people, our own brothers, our own sisters, our own mothers. They have been driven away. They have been thrown away. अपने घर के है. Is this the way you handle people? Yeah, and nobody knows it. There is no way. Accountability नहीं है, कोई press में नहीं है. It is like orphans in our own country. We are refugees on your own country. This is the pain which I felt, this has to be told. In fact, I think you, me, Surinder Bhai, Mohan ji, all the team has to thank only one person, that is Abhishek Agarwal. Without second thought, without even thinking, he said, yes, whatever the result may be, I pay my.
Wow, what a fascinating thing.
Sorry, I'm become a little emotional, but
yeah, no, absolutely normal. Thank you for being so sincere and so involved with the cause. We feel really inspired with that. Thank you for sharing that, really. Yes. This takes me to Abhishek. Abhishek, could you please elaborate on this? Because to me, it's really very fascinating to know that in this world, when people talk about investments and make all the risk assessments and calculations before investment, could you elaborate about what really was that, as Surendraji earlier mentioned, you didn't have even the full script with you at that time. What really triggered you that this is really the cause they really want to invest in terms of real money? Abhishek ji.
you are on mute, Abhishek ji, you are on mute.
Sorry, sir. I have other businesses also for my, this is not for movie making. I do it for a passion of thing. And actually, if you can just see Abhishek Agarwal Arts is that believe in content. We want truth. I'm doing the other movies which I'm doing is based on in such a same topics which are untold stories, and even of heroes which we in India we have so many heroes and we have so many things to say. We take it from outside and show in India. So it's that India should know what the pain India people generally. मतलब मैं बताता हूँ, मैं आज 40 years का हूँ, तो मुझे मेरे एक सभ्यता मेरे मानो में मेरा बच्चा आज 16 years का है, he still wants to see something. मतलब उसको एक लिटरेचर समझाना पड़ेगा, ये है वैसा है मतलब, और आगे और जाएंगे इंडिया और आगे जाएगा तो वो खत्म हो चले जाएगा, कल्चर ही खत्म हो जाएगा. Now, if you see from Kashmir, you all major people have moved to US, Canada, out of India. Why you need to move out? As India, Kashmir was one of the best. वहाँ से ही हर चीज बाहर आई है सर. कश्मीर, अगर कश्मीर नहीं होता तो स्विट्जरलैंड आज कश्मीर का ये हालत नहीं होता, स्विट्जरलैंड इतना बड़ा टूरिस्ट स्पॉट नहीं बनता. Do you agree or not with this, sir? Surinder ji, hello.
Yeah, absolutely, Abhishek ji. हम लोग कश्मीर को पैराडाइज ऑन अर्थ बोला जाता है.
हाँ सर.
और हम लोग वो पैराडाइज ऑफ अर्थ की वजह से नहीं क्योंकि ये सुंदर है. हम लोग जो हमारा रूट है, वी लव इट बिकॉज ऑफ आवर सिविलाइजेशन, जो हमारी सभ्यता है, 5000 वर्ष की सभ्यता. और जो हमने बोला कि आप सभी वहां निकल गए, मतलब कोई यूएस में है, कोई यूके में है, कोई सभी इंडिया में है, बाकी सिटीज में, क्योंकि हमको निकाला गया. आई मीन इट वाज नॉट बाय चॉइस. अगर ऐसा नहीं होता तो मैं भी कश्मीर में ही होता, मैं भी वहीं पे कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहा होता. और यही तो है कि बेसिकली जिनको निकाला गया, जिनको धकेला गया, आज वही पूरे मानवता की सेवा कर रहे हैं. दे आर अपलिफ्टिंग द मैनकाइंड. क्योंकि हमने कभी वायलेंस के साथ रेसिप्रोकेट नहीं किया वायलेंस के साथ, क्योंकि हमारी जो एसेट्स था, दैट वाज द नॉलेज एंड सर्विंग मैनकाइंड, एंड दैट इज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग. मैं यूएस में हूँ, आई एम सर्विंग मैनकाइंड. मोहन जी इज अ वेरी एमिनेंट साइंटिस्ट इन यूएस एंड ही इज सर्विंग मैनकाइंड. सो इसी तरह से बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं डिस्पाइट व्हाट हैपेंड विद अस. Back to you. Sorry, I just wanted to just make
no sir. नहीं सर, मैं ही आपको मैंने कनेक्ट किया सर, वही बता रहा हूँ सर. साहब कहीं ना कहीं पे भी हमारे में भी वही अंश है ना सर, हम लोग भी वहीं के पार्ट है. तो बस वो एक दिल में आई, करना है, किया है. और सब्जेक्ट मतलब मुझे नहीं लगता कि हर चीज पैसे से चली जाती है. एक हिस्ट्री के अंदर आज पैसा तो सबके पास होगा सर, पैसा कमाएंगे भी, आएगा भी जाएगा भी, पर एटलीस्ट एक सेटिस्फैक्शन रात में जब सोते हैं, या दिल को एक सेटिस्फैक्शन होना चाहिए कि कुछ तो मैंने किया है, मेरी कम्युनिटी को मैंने कुछ तो दिया है। मैं एक हिंदू हूँ, कट्टर हिंदू हूँ, आज भी हिंदू हूँ, कल भी हिंदू रहूंगा, मरे बाद भी हिंदू रहूंगा। तो एक हिंदू का मैंने कर्तव्य निभाया, मैं वो फील करता हूँ। when you are born as a Hindu, you have a responsibility to give something to the society back.
This is, this is, I think in the audience, I know sometimes we have younger people also who, we might all of us talk about. They sometimes talk about, okay, is there any particular line or profession that I can take with which I can serve? But I think what Abhishek, you have proved, Surendraji has proved, and many other people, professionals, as well as people who are in business field or any field, I don't think it's really field dependent. What's really dependent is that, as Sundarji was mentioning earlier, is that whether you have that, seva bhav, whether you have that bigger cause far beyond our me and mine alone, in which we get lost. Obviously, we all get lost in our daily lives, but then that beyond that, is there something that I can be part of a bigger cause? And I think this particular movie or this particular cause, I can tell you from our perspective, has been a galvanizing force for us. Like, as Sarandaji was mentioned, like many of us are not necessarily either political activists or some kind of professional politicians. No, we all are actually, leading our lives in different professions. But there seems to be something, a bigger cause, which seems to pull us off. And obviously our experience of genocide, which our community obviously has gone through, we have all tried to deal with it in our own way. Everybody has their own way of doing it. But what really this Kashmir Files, I really want to come to, why this became a kind of, for us, not a movie, just basically a voice for the voiceless. This is what it is. And I really want to emphasize on that because Mukesh, there were many other people who were involved in different phases, but Abhishek ji, Archana ji, and Sudhir ji, I really want to emphasize that if you would have been here, as they say, fly on a wall, and you would have seen when we had screening of this movie in different cities, major cities in the US. I just really want to share with you that, because this is your movie, this is your product, this is your baby. You need to know how your baby has performed out there. And when we were in the audience, we had in the audience, different cities. We had people who were what we call, non-Indian Americans, the Americans here, whether white, black, Spanish. We had Indian diaspora people from all over India. And of course, we have Kashmiri Pandits there in the audience, very diverse audience. And when the movie was playing, and I started hearing the sobbing happening in the hall. And people were crying in the hall. Some people were particularly men. They were crying, but they didn't want people to know they were crying. They were hiding themselves, hiding that they're crying. And there was, you might have seen, many of you guys have seen the clips. These people just broke down in the hall, and some people in the hall, some people outside the hall, including a member of my own family. And the reason I'm mentioning is that there's very rarely does a movie impact audience in this case. And the biggest tribute that I want to give you, all of you as a team, Abhishek ji, Archana ji, and Sudhir ji, is that the investment that you have made, not only financially speaking, but as is clear from your conversation, investment in a bigger cause, it has reached to a level that it's making profound effect on the audience. And many times when we were sitting there, since it was telling our story, we forgot that it's a movie which has gone through regular production and producers and directors and actors. We felt like that it is written, directed, and produced by us, the victims, because every dialogue, every word, as actually today I've heard many. I was looking at YouTube a few days back. Even the director of the movie has said he really did not like write a really dialogue the way conventionally you write in a chair and write a dialogue. He said, I just took the conversation and the utterances of the victims and put it in the movie. And that really reflects there in the movie, the originality, the raw, brutal honesty about the movie. And that's what's really affecting profoundly the audiences who have seen here in the US, because we had the privilege of watching the entire movie here in US, and I'm sure audience is going to see it in India and other places in the world, that for us, it really was not a movie. It was not something that somebody has directed and acted on. This is something that seems to tell my story, my neighbor's story, my family's story. And it looks like that everything I said and uttered or in this conversation, that's what seems to be in the movie. So it's almost looks like somebody's putting a spotlight on something which is happening anyway between these victims of terrorism. So thank you so much for what your contributions really are in this case. And आपके लिए खासकर जब आपको मैं सुन रहा हूँ आज ना पहली बार आपको सुन रहा हूँ, अब मेरे को समझ में आने लगेगा कि आपके लिए ये सारी इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं थी, शायद आपके लिए ये कॉज की इन्वेस्टमेंट थी. So that's really inspiring to a lot of our youth, to me personally and to audience, I'm sure overall. तो अभिषेक जी और अर्चना जी, आपसे पूछना था मुझे कि आपको कभी अवसर मिला वहाँ देहरादून जाने के लिए जहाँ पर मूवी की शूटिंग हो रही थी? कभी आपको चांस मिला शूटिंग के टाइम उनके साथ इंटरेक्ट करने के लिए?
सर, मैं शूटिंग के ऊपर 10 दिन मैं शूट पे था. स्टार्टिंग फर्स्ट डे से 4-5 दिन था. उसके बाद अनुपम जी जब ज्वाइन किए मैं शूटिंग पे ही था. तो एक अलग ही माहौल था वहाँ पे. जब अनुपम जी यूज्ड टू हैव अ ब्रेक, तो वहाँ पे वहाँ के कश्मीरीज जो उनके लिए खाना बना के लाते थे, वो हाथ से. देयर वाज अ लेडी एज्ड आई थिंक सो 90 इयर्स होगी सुधीर भाई. आई थिंक शी वाज 90 इयर्स व्हेन शी गॉट फूड एंड शी वांटेड टू से दैट आप कर रहे हो. तो शी गॉट लंच टू सर्व अनुपम जी. मतलब वो सबके लंच लेके आती थी, 2 दिन कंटिन्यूस लेके आई. मतलब वो अलग ही माहौल था वहाँ का. जो लोगों का मतलब कश्मीरी लोगों का जो मतलब पंडितों का अपने मतलब जो प्रति उनका प्रेम था कि मूवी बन रही है तो हम लंच लेके आना, हम लोग बाहर रहना, मतलब वो एक अलग ही माहौल मैंने खुद महसूस वो 3 दिन तो मैंने किया है. बाकी तो खैर मैंने नहीं किया. जो मैं 3-4 दिन अनुपम जी के साथ मैंने शूट में बिताए. अनुपम जी सीन करते थे, दोनों विवेक जी और वो दोनों रो लेते थे. मैं भी थोड़ा बहुत रोता था. वो दोनों तो सीन करके रोते रहते थे कि भाई अब क्या करे, कैसे करे. तो इसमें विवेक जी बोलते सर आप वो समझ में आता करिए, ऐसे करिए. मतलब कुछ चीजें बोली नहीं जाती है सर, वो कुछ दिल में रह जाती है.
Fascinating to think about it.
अच्छा मोहन जी, can I ask them a question?
Sure, sir. Yes.
हाँ अभिषेक जी, अर्चना जी, आप तो शूटिंग तो देखी है आपने ये फाइनल प्रोडक्ट थिएटर में बिग स्क्रीन पे देखा क्या?
हाँ देखा है सर.
हाँ, हाउ डिड यू फील? क्योंकि शूटिंग और बिग स्क्रीन पे देखने का अलग ही ये रहता है.
सर मैंने पिक्चर भी पूरी देखी है. मैंने 20 मिनट का जो आप लोगों का जो इंटरव्यूज मतलब जो इसका इन्वेस्टिगेशन था जो विवेक जी पहले आके कर जब कर हम लोग हम साइन करने के बाद जो 2 महीने के टूर पे आए थे आपके पास, वो फुटेज भी पूरा देखा है. वो फुटेज में ट्रेलर मतलब देख के भी हमको 8 महीने हो गए. उसी दिन हम विवेक जी के घर पे सब हमारी पूरी टीम, बाकी और भी 4-5 जने थे साथ में, पूरे जने रोए हुए थे. सबकी आंखें नम थी. जब ये पिक्चर देख के उठा मैं था साथ में, जी वाले पूरे थे. किसी ने कुछ 20 मिनट तक बात भी नहीं की. सब एक दूसरे के चेहरा देखने को भी कोई रेडी नहीं था. सब किसको क्या बोले, किसको क्या बात करें, किससे क्या ये रिएक्शन था.
थैंक यू. अर्चना जी, आपसे भी एक क्वेश्चन करना चाहता हूँ.
हाँ,
जैसे कि
मैंने एक्चुअली हाँ बताइए.
नहीं
आप
आप बोलिए.
बताइए.
हाँ,
नहीं, मैं
मेरा
एक्चुअली
आपसे
मैं शूटिंग्स पर नहीं जा पाई थी. एंड जो भी है अभिषेक मुझे भिजाते थे फोन पर, मैं सब कुछ देखती थी. मेरे भी 2 लड़के हैं, तो वो लोग का स्कूलिंग और कोरोना टाइम सबकी वजह से मैं जा नहीं पाई. बट अभिषेक के थ्रू सब कुछ पता चला. फोन से रिकॉर्डिंग्स देखती थी. सब कुछ देखकर एक वो एहसास मिस करती थी कि अगर मैं वहां होती तो वो मैं भी महसूस कर पाती. तो ये सबसे कनेक्शन हुआ है. वही बहुत एक अलग ही फीलिंग है जो मैं आप समझ सकते हो.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. मैं आपसे एक सवाल करना चाहता हूँ.
हाँ.
जैसे कि सुधीर जी ने बताया कि अभिषेक जी ने बोला कि भाई मैं इस पे पैसा लगाना चाहता हूँ,
हाँ
और वहां से विवेक जी का रेस्पॉन्स था कि भाई ये पैसा लगा रहे हो तो ये सोच के मत लगा कि इसमें फायदा मिलेगा, और इसमें ये चलेगी नहीं चलेगी मुझे नहीं मालूम है। तो उस समय आपका क्या रिएक्शन था अभिषेक जी के साथ कि अरे ये क्या कर रहा है, ये क्यों ऐसा?
मैं आपको सच बताऊंगी, मैं अभिषेक पे ब्लाइंडली ट्रस्ट करती हूँ। 16 साल हो गए हमारी शादी को, आज तक अभिषेक ने किधर भी हाथ डाला है। वो कुछ भी करते हैं, कभी भी अपना मटेरियल या अपना मुनाफा समझकर नहीं करते। वो दिल से जैसा भी बताया कि मुझे लगा कि मैं भी एक हिंदुस्तानी हूँ, मैं भी एक इंडियन हूँ, कुछ करूँ। एक वो एहसास और वो फील कि मैंने भी कुछ किया है, वही बहुत होता है। तो जैसे अभिषेक के मल्टीपल और भी बिजनेस हैं, बट कभी भी ऐसे मुनाफा फायदे से वो नहीं देखते हैं। ये देखते हैं कि काम क्या हो रहा है, उसकी क्या तरक्की है। तो ब्लाइंडली ट्रस्ट है मुझे उन पर, क्योंकि वो कभी ऐसा कोई काम नहीं करते हैं जितना मैंने उन्हें देखा है।
That is so nice of you. May God give you togetherness for years and years to come, और आपके हाथों से और भी बहुत बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट चीजें जो अभी दबी हुई हैं वो बाहर निकल के आए।
थैंक यू।
सो बेसिकली इसके साथ ही एक कनेक्टेड क्वेश्चन था। देखिए, हर एक पैसा लगाता है मुनाफा लेने के लिए, मतलब दिस इज अ नेचुरल थिंग।
हाँ
और जिस जिस हिसाब से अभिषेक जी ने इस पे पैसा लगाया और उनको बताया भी किया शायद आपका पैसा नहीं मिल सकता वापस, ये कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रॉब्लम तो है, क्योंकि जो इस समय सिचुएशन है, ऐसी मूवीज क्यों दुखी मूवी कोई देखेगा? मेरे को क्या करना है रोना धोना, वो तो जो हुआ उनके साथ हुआ, मैं तो यहाँ पे सब ठीक हूँ। मगर ये जो सारी मूवी है, आई ऑल्सो बिलीव ये सारा डिवाइन है। ये जो कुछ चल रहा है, ये हम लोग सारे एक पात्र हैं इसको आगे चलाने में, और कोई हमको चला रहा है इसको। सो हर एक का रोल है। मगर ये जो आपका क्लियरेंस है, जो आपने अभिषेक जी ने इस पे इन्वेस्ट किया बिना क्वेश्चन किए, किस नियत से किया, इस नोबल, आई कैन एश्योर यू कि ये चलेगी, अच्छे से चलेगी। इसको आपको बहुत मल्टीपल्स भी आएंगे ताकि आप इसको और इन्वेस्ट करें बाकी सारे एरियाज में। आई
थैंक यू।
कैन गारंटी यू दैट। और फॉर ऑडियंस, दिस इज अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग मूवी, मैंने भी देखी है। ये एक इतनी पावरफुल मूवी है जिसमें म्यूजिक नहीं है, मगर जो म्यूजिक है इतना मेलोडियस है, इतना विदाउट एनी ऑर्केस्ट्रा। यू विल सी सम सॉन्ग्स, दे आर सो डिवाइन। एंड जो डिपिक्ट किया हुआ है, जो कैरेक्टर ने दिखाया है, it is a magic to the eyes of the audience. So you see it, or see it with your family, see it with your friends, and take ownership कि आप क्या कर सकते हो इस चीज को ये करने के लिए, ताकि ऐसी चीजें इंडिया में ना हो। बैक टू।
Thank you, Surendraji. I just want to, I think I want to put the business hat layer just to carry forward this conversation a little more. And I think the CEO of the company, particularly in this case, Sudhiji, just a question from a business point of view, which is kind of somewhat extension of what Surendraji was mentioning earlier. You know, when the time for investing in anything is there, of course, in this case, you had Abhishek ji and Archana ji who were kind of involved with this cause, a bigger cause far beyond business. And in your company or among the friends of those who invest in films, did you have any interactions or any conversation or any of them giving you, hey, just wait, you know, in terms of how are you putting money? Was there any kind of conversation from any of your other colleagues in the company or other investors who generally invest money? Because we are so fascinated with the idea, because this is something which goes far beyond the so-called what they really teach people about investing money only as a money outcome rather than investing in a bigger cause. So could you just share your thinking as well as the thinking of your colleagues and friends with regard to investing in a movie like this?
Okay, Mohanji, I'll tell you one interesting thing. See, it is all about one person deciding and taking a decision. So once he takes some decision, that is Abhishek, he decided sitting in the house of one minister, and he was very clear on that day that he's going to produce this film. One decision, that's it. He has taken that decision. Come what may, happen what may, we all aligned with him. And there is always something called a leader who has to inspire you. So inspiration comes from decisions, right? See, how do you make, how Abhishek is a leader for us is he inspires us by decisions. So he has taken a decision and stood by it. And it is not just about money is the last aspect. When the pain, when the anger, when the depression, when the sorrow, these kind of the truth which was not told, and what best way, this is the only way you can communicate to the world that this is what has happened to us, and there will be none who can come forward. That also, even when the Z came forward, it was almost, the movie was done, almost like 70% was done. So the point is, people were not even ready to even come on board. In fact, 3-4 days back, Vivek Agnihotri ji himself has put it on his Twitter saying that but for Abhishek Agarwal, nobody has come forward to produce this film. Because लोग बोले, अरे तुम produce कर रहे हो, movie release भी नहीं होगा, आपको जिंदा कौन रखेगा? There were multiple things. But in our office or our friend circle or in our relatives or everywhere, one man has to take a decision. He took it, and we all aligned with him. We were on one line. We were on same page. And that is what is all about leadership. And he was a great leader on this.
Wonderful. So inspiring to hear so many different aspects of how you thought about all about this. I think at this is one for Abhishek ji. I think I wanted to kind of get into a little bit other aspects of movie production. There's always this big discussion about the role of movies. Some people will argue that movies are meant for just entertaining the masses. The other school of thought would say, though no, movies have a purpose, something in addition to entertainment, it can have other purposes as well, whether it could be promoting a cause, or in some cases giving a message, or in some cases focusing on somebody's life. As I know from your production, I think you are planning a movie, I think on our ex-president. I won't get into detail about it, Kalam. But I think from your point of view, what is your overall philosophy of movie making? What do you think movies are meant to do from your perspective?
So movie plays a very important role in Telugu cinema. I'll say you my journey. I'm a Marwadi, basically typically Marwadi family born. I entered film industry past 8 years. I don't know. I think I was meant to enter this industry through a different medium of. Then उसके बाद में मैंने डिसाइड किया कि मुझे मूवी करनी है तो कुछ ऐसे नहीं कि वो मसाला मूवी कर ले वो आप एक प्रोड्यूसर बन जाए. अपनी एक अलग पहचान होनी चाहिए, एक अलग कुछ मुकाम अलग करना है तो कुछ ना कुछ अलग करना है. तो मैं ऑलरेडी वी हैव बीन traveling, as you told, for experiencing biopic के लिए we have been traveling from past 4 years. We have locked the stars, everything is going on due to corona. और next subject भी आपको मालूम है. मेरे को जरा सा मुझे ये वो सबका अपना अपना एक फील होता है ना सर, कि ना मुझे ये हाई करता है, मुझे वो हाई करता है, मुझे कुछ ना कुछ जो चीज छुपी हुई हो, या आप समझ लीजिए डिटेक्टिव समझ लीजिए या कुछ समझ लीजिए, छुपी हो उसको बाहर लाने में क्यों ऐसा हुआ है. थोड़ा शुरू से बचपन से मुझे ऐसा है कि ये थोड़ा गूगलिंग ज्यादा करने का आदत है, ज्यादा पूछने का आदत है, ज्यादा क्वेश्चन करने का आदत है. हाँ, मैं बात ज्यादा कम करता हूँ, कल 2 जने बैठो ज्यादा पूछना. विवेक जी को हम लोग जब बात करते हैं, पर कल भी बात हो रही तो आधी घंटा, नहीं सर ऐसे कर सकते हैं, इसको ऐसे करेंगे, नहीं सर ऐसे करेंगे, तो थोड़ा ऐसा करेंगे. थोड़ा एक क्यूरियोसिटी ज्यादा होती है. और मैं बताया ना सर, एक लाइफ के अंदर एक एक होता है कि भाई कम से कम जब मैं जाऊं, आफ्टर आई गो, कि पीपल शुड एटलीस्ट से दैट हाँ कुछ तो करके गया है यार. एक एक वो कीड़े मकोड़ों के वैसा तो सब पैदा होते हैं, सब जाते हैं. एटलीस्ट यू हैव सिटिंग ऑफ दैट ना कि मैंने एक जन्म लिया था तो कुछ मेरी लाइफ किसी के कुछ काम तो आ सके.
Oh, wonderful. Abhishek ji, I mean, I wanted to point to the other part. I was reading a lead about, about the reaction in India for the movie. Obviously, it has not been released as yet. Uh, what's really struck me was that I think there's always scope in any democratic system to, to have different point of views or be critical about something or movie, which is fair enough. But I think what really struck me was that some of the criticism which seems to be getting generated from certain section uh, was that when I was looking as a victim of genocide and exodus, I was wondering many of those critics that it may be a knee-jerk reaction to start just calling it some kind of propaganda, or I wish they had a chance or time to talk to actual victims and know that this is not one of those movies in which just few people just want to promote for the heck of it, something like that. No, it is for us, particularly our story. And instead of being an armchair critic, which many people tend to be, I think in any democratic system, including India, I think one of the responsibility of democracy to me is that yes, you should know the content, you should get the information, maybe watch the movie. Then of course you can make your views, you can make your, it doesn't have to be critical or whatever it may be. But obviously, in some cases, it seems to be that is prematurely, even without having watched the movie. So, as a producer of this movie, The Kashmir Files, how do you deal with some of the criticism which seems to be coming from certain quarters?
So criticism was from day one. People in Telugu industry, no one goes from South. I'm being a Telugu. तो लोगों को एक कनेक्शन समझ में नहीं आया कि बोले साउथ हैदराबाद से आई डोंट नो आई बिलीव इन डे वन आई डोंट नो आई वाज मेंट टू डू दिस साउथ से बैठ के विवेक जी बॉम्बे में है व्हाई आर यू डूइंग इट हिंदी मूवी है तुम यू आर जस्ट न्यू टू द तेलुगु इंडस्ट्री यू डोंट नो अबाउट द हिंदी इंडस्ट्री व्हाट्स गोइंग टू हैपन वो तो डे वन से है फतवे उसमें हुआ अभी कल परसों कोर्ट केस भी कोई आया है बल्कि आई थिंक यू माइट बी नोइंग इट इन बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट ऑन मंडे हियरिंग इज देयर सो इट्स ओके इट्स ऑन माय नेम ओनली तो ठीक है जो भी है वी हैव टू डू इट तो सर जब वो हमारे में एक मारवाड़ी में कहावत है सर जब मस्त मस्त हाथी चलता है तो पीछे बहुत जने भोगते हैं तो हाथी को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता वो अपना घूमते घूमते मुंडे हिलाते हिलाते आगे जाते जाते
Oh. So I think this is one more kind of thing, lesson in the field is that when people make movies purely on affection, having a hero and heroine to kind of take a run around the tree, nobody seems to be even wanting to have comments about the movie. And when there's a movie sometimes about a bigger cause, about something, a bigger message, a bigger goal, and which is then a lot of people seem to get involved, not necessarily with the idea about knowing what the truth was, but more in terms of having some other agenda-driven criticism. So I think I'm so glad to hear from you, as well as I heard from Vivek also, that in this particular movie, I don't think it's somebody's criticism or somebody's argument or somebody's views which will be ultimately decide. What will really decide is the audience reaction, more importantly, the truth about it. And I think one of the fascinating things about your movie, The Kashmir Files, I can say is that there very rarely I have seen the people, those who are actually the subject matter of the movie, which in this case is us, the victims of genocide and forced exodus Kashmiri Pandits. Uh, they one not without at least one exception. Everybody is not just talking about it. Everybody is crying about it. Everybody is having that moments of this is what happened. And I think that's the thing, the message I really want to communicate to many of the people, particularly in India, if there are any audience members listening that they haven't seen the movie, that it's not one of those things we just kind of want to say, well, let people see the movie, because most of us do not have any other stake in the movie, excepting for the fact that it is telling our story. That's our only stake in this, all that, because it's telling the truth about something. So I think this part of criticism is something I'm glad you guys are looking at the way you're looking at, the way you are dealing with that. And I'm sure after March 11th, many of the audience members who will get to see, if they are fair-minded about it, is that the movie is not vengeful. The movie is not about trying to unfairly pinpoint anybody. If it's pinpointing, it's pinpointing the truth, the bare truth as it is. And yes, there's ugly truth about it, and ugly truth cannot be decked up. And I think that's what your movie is doing, and that's where your investment is currently doing. And that's it. One more thing I really wanted to kind of purely out of gratitude acknowledge here from that point of view. So coming back now to Abhishek ji, that overall, I mean, since we have audience who are internationally here, some of whom are not really much more familiar with some of these processes, would you like to share some words for the general audience there, international audience, from you as a producer for this movie?
Just want to say, sir, this is your film. It's not mine. It's not Kashmiri Pandit. मैं ये बोल सकता हूँ कि ये हिंदुस्तानी की पिक्चर है, भारत की पिक्चर है, भारत की सभ्यता समझाने की पिक्चर है. And this is not that what happened was right wrong. We just want to show that what, अब मैं कैसे बोलूं, आप देखकर डिसाइड कीजिएगा कि क्या बताया है. और जब बाहर आओगे, आंख में किसी के भी पानी हो तो वो जस्टिफाई खुद ही करते हैं.
यही प्रश्न अर्चना जी से पूछना चाहूंगे. अर्चना जी, आप क्या कहना चाहोगी? हमारी जो नेशनल ऑडियंस है, जो वो मूवी देखने वाले हैं, उनके लिए आप क्या कहना चाहोगे इस मूवी के बारे में?
मैं भी यही बोलना चाहूंगी जो अभिषेक ने बोला है. ये मेरी, आपकी, किसी की ऐसे नहीं है. हम सब हिंदुस्तानी की के ऊपर मूवी है. तो मैं यही बोलना चाहूंगी कि आप लोग खुद देखिए और खुद जज कीजिए और फिर खुद अपना डिसीजन बताइए. बस एक चीज सामने लाने की कोशिश की है. अब वो सफल हो जाए, सबको पता चल जाए, तो उससे बड़ी खुशी की बात और कुछ नहीं होगी.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका.
सर, सक्सेस ऑफ दिस मूवी विल, ये मूवी सक्सेस होना जरूरी है, क्योंकि इसके बाद मेरा ये मानना है कि काफी लोग और आएंगे और चीजों को लाएंगे बाहर बताने के लिए, प्रेरित होंगे कि कम से कम हाँ, किसी ना किसी को हिम्मत करनी चाहिए. मैं नहीं चाहता हूँ कि मैं एक जहाँ रहूं, मेरे साथ और मेरे भाई काफी लोग जुड़े जो भारत को बताएं दुनिया को कि भारत क्या है, भारत क्या था, क्या है और क्या बनेगा आगे भी.
Thank you so much to hear about very inspiring words to hear from you. Dirji, from the point of view of South India, I was just curious to know, is there any word out there with regard to this Kashmir Files in the southern India with regard to its getting released? Anything you could share with us as to what kind of awareness there is about this movie there?
Sir, South India also in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, this movie will be released. In fact, on 9th of March, we are having a very big preview in Hyderabad. I will share you all the details. मैं आपको शेयर करता हूँ डिटेल्स पूरे. 9th के दिन एक बड़ा प्रीव्यू है यहाँ पे स्क्रीनिंग, and we are expecting all the big Telugu, Tollywood stars and celebrities and actresses to come, because see, sir, one aspect of the cinema is commercial success. That is in the destiny. Whether that happens or not, that is not our point. Our point is, how do we create awareness among people to at least come to this stage of life that ये हमारे साथी है, हमारे साथ थे, इनके साथ ये हुआ है. At least they have to come to this stage of life. That is the awareness we have to create. उतना तो हम मेहनत कर रहे हैं. And we will make sure every person, I'll be very proud, even 50% of India's population who are moviegoers will have an awareness of this. If they say, yes, we know about Kashmir, we know about the pain what my fellow Indians have gone through. I never consider, Pakistan hai, wo hai, ye hai. I will say my fellow Indians in Kashmir have gone through pain and suffering, we were helpless. Forget about them being helpless, they were driven away. But as a nation, we should be ashamed. As a country, we should bow down to you people. In spite of all these things, in spite of going through so much of pain, never in your lives, sir, for me, Kashmiri Pandit, Kashmiri Hindus are my Jews. They have become powerful, they have become most, and I wish, I hope you become like the Jews of the world. My Kashmiri Pandit in next 10 years or 15 years across the world, whatever your population, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, I don't know, but I want you to be like Jews, the most strongest financially, knowledge wise, science, technology, in every aspect. That is the only answer we can give. Anyway, you will come back to Kashmir. I am very sure we will all have party in your house. I don't know if Surender sir is listening to this. I want we all should go to his house someday and we will all have a chai there, sitting in his garden. That
And
apart,
yeah,
I am very sure about one thing. I want your community to be like Jews, the strongest community ever. And once you have the money and power, world will bow down to you, sir. World will listen to you.
you
Thank
know,
you.
I think on this note, I want to share, which I think you know, but just for the rest of the audience, that one of the unique things for you to hear as a producers and overall the movie is that rarely have I seen that before a director or writer of a movie writes the script or writes the dialogues for a movie. In this case, he and Pallaviji took upon themselves to travel across India and beyond to different countries, including US, UK, many other countries, where they have gone and been to the families of these victims. Very rarely have I ever seen that level of authenticity and dedication. I am one of them. I have never known Vivek earlier. When Vivek came to US, he went met uh, the victims of terrorism and all that. And the way he was meeting was not that, okay, you just talk to me on phone or, you sit in a hall. No, approach of him and Palabiji was that you tell me where they are, I will go to their homes. And that's exactly what they did. They will come to our homes. And it did not even start with a conversation on that. It was just like they wanted to be part of it. Let's eat something. They will have some Kashmiri food and whatever was happening, whatever chai conversation was happening. And then in between, he would touch upon, tell me what really happened. And I'm sure many of you have seen the very short clips of those video testimonials or video interviews which he had. And rarely would there be history of Indian cinema where writer-directors have taken this pain of not only collecting so-called video testimonials, but really going to be part in that family just to get, because you can see a lot of things you can hear as a body language. And I think many of us who are in the field of psychology, and we know that many times victims don't really open up easily because it's just a kind of psychological defense system. They will kind of give you feel, oh, everything is fine, everything's going on. And I think Vivekji had this feel that he would rather like to talk about general things first before they would open up about, and that's what he did. And the reason I'm mentioning to you is that as a producer of this movie who have invested in money, that this is something really heartening that your director writer in this case was taking this degree of pains to know directly from the victims before he went and started writing the script or directing the movie. And that shows up in your movie, that shows up in everything that we have seen. And just again, I really want to thank you on behalf of GKPD, who's hosting this Zoom. But beyond that, it's beyond GKPD, to be honest. This is about Kashmiri community. And if there's any Kashmiri Hindus of any area, region, country, organization, wherever they're living, it is not a movie about any single individual or any single person. It's the movie, first of all, starting with about every Kashmiri Pandit. But more than that, on a broader scale, it's a movie about humanity. It's the story about what happens when humanity flies off or evaporates off in the real world. And to the American audiences who have been there, I was talking to them, and what we were always concluding that far beyond what it really started with, it is the movie for the world, because terrorism is not something confined to Kashmir only. It is spreading, and it's a blot, obviously, on the conscience of humanity. So the way at least I saw this movie was that it's primarily Kashmiri Pandit's story, yes, but it's a human story. It is for every Indian, as Abhishek was mentioning earlier. It is for international audiences because it is at the end of the day about a human story and terrorism and what can happen when terror is unleashed, that too on unprotected, unarmed, innocent people who are behaving. So that way something, that contribution of Abhishek ji, Yo and your and company is really something which will have a historic importance, not only immediate one. And I happen to believe one of those that when at some point history would be written about Kashmiri Pandit genocide and Exodus, the mention of this movie would be one prominent part of it, because this was the only vehicle through which the world is coming to know. And Abhishek ji, that's why I feel that your investment in this movie is far and beyond in terms of what was the funding or the finance part. You have really invested in history, and I really want to thank you for that. Shafalika ji, anything concluding words you'd like to share with us?
Thank you, Mohanji. Thank you, Mohanji. It was very, very interesting. मुझे बस 2-3 बातें बोलनी है. पहले तो धन्यवाद आप सबका, पर अभिषेक जी also धन्यवाद उन मंत्री महोदय का जिन्होंने आपको इंतजार कराया 3 घंटे और वो मूवी स्टार्ट हुई. The idea of the movie started, so sometimes politicians are of use as well, as we have seen. और थैंक यू अर्चना जी का आपने बहुत अच्छी बात बोली that you totally rely on what Abhishek did, because that is very important. Behind every important person is, a very successful person is a woman, and in this case Archana ji, it is you. So thank you all so much on behalf of GKPD. We've been having these sessions every day for अभी और भी चलेंगे. काफी कलाकारों से मुलाकात हुई, प्रकाश बेलावड़ी जी से, पुनीत देसर जी से. So humble, and they have been so empathetic. But the story, I guess, started from you three. So actors ये सब तो बाद में आते हैं, पर इस story का जो seed है वो आप तो उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. So I mean UK now, and I can't tell you यहाँ कितना enthusiasm है movie. There's the WhatsApp messages are like continuously flowing. कब आएगी movie. Everybody is so enthusiastic. I think it is because first time एक true story है, और and world is such at the moment कि जो हमारे साथ हुआ वो कहीं भी हो सकता है. UK, US, terrorism is like spreading everywhere, and I think people have realized कि आपकी लाइफ कहीं भी सेफ नहीं है. जैसे हम लोगों को लगता था हम लोग कश्मीर में सेफ है, हमारा घर था, सब था, स्कूल था, कॉलेज, and suddenly within a night हम लोग का कुछ भी नहीं रहा. But I think people are realizing that what has happened to these people can happen anywhere in the world, how things are at the moment. So usliye you've not just done a favor to our community. I think aapne world pe ek favor kiya hai, because the conversations are starting and the conversations are expanding, or ek community si ban rahi hai of people who want peace and who want humanity to be there. So I think it is much wider than just our community. So yeah, so we are finishing now. We've had 1 hour of really illuminating discussions. Thank you, Mohanji, and thank you all. Thank you, Mohanji. Back to you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so
मैं
much.
धन्यवाद दूंगा मोहन जी आपका, शफाली जी का, कि आपने मुझे इस लायक समझा कि मैं आप लोगों के सबके साथ इस जूम कॉल पे जुड़ सकूं. जनरली कोई प्रोड्यूसर जल्दी से नहीं आता है सामने, ना उसको कोई बुलाता है. आपने मुझे स्टार बुलाया, वही मेरा इनकम है, मैं ये मानूंगा खाली. आपने मुझे स्टार बुलाना शफाली जी, वही मेरे लिए इनकम है. जनरली प्रोड्यूसर कभी स्टार नहीं होता है. स्टार्स होते हैं, हम तो पीछे से खेलने वाले लोग हैं. पर आप लोगों ने मुझे इस लायक समझा, मुझे, सुधीर जी को, मेरी टीम को लायक समझ के आप लोगों ने बुलाया. डिम्पल, आई एम रियली थैंकफुल टू यू. मैं इनसे बताऊंगा, व्हेन शी केम टू हैदराबाद, शी मेट मी, वी वर डिस्कसिंग 10 minutes. और मैं 5 मिनट बात कर रहा था, वो उसके तो आंखें पानी था ऑलरेडी, मैं सुधीर तो हम लोग और रो लेते थे। मतलब वो एक इतना धन्यवाद वो आपकी कम्युनिटी की तरफ से मुझे, मतलब वो थैंक यू एंड थैंक यू बोल रही थी। मतलब इतना वो ये चीज, मतलब मुझे नहीं, मैं फ्रैंकली बता रहा हूँ, ये चालू करने के पहले मुझे ऐसा होगा, मतलब मुझे पता नहीं था कि इतना कुछ प्रेम मुझे आप लोगों से मिलेगा। वही बताना, मैंने आप लोगों ने मुझे स्टार बोला है, दैट इज वेरी मच थैंक यू। आज मुझे लगता है कि मैं पिक्चर में पैसा आया नहीं आया वो खैर केयर अबाउट इट, बट मुझे कमाई तो हो चुकी है।
थैंक यू
so much.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद अभिषेक जी, अर्चना जी और सुधीर जी। एक बार फिर बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आप आए, हमारे पास कुछ समय आपने हमारे साथ बिताया, और हमारी डेफिनेशन में आप स्टार हो इस मूवी के लिए, क्योंकि आपने जब इन्वेस्टमेंट किया तभी तो ये मूवी बन पाई, और अगर आप इन्वेस्ट नहीं करते, उसके प्रोड्यूसर नहीं होते, तो शायद हम इस मूवी को कभी देख नहीं पाते, और ख़ास को जो विश्व में जो है लोग हैं वो उसको नहीं देख पाते। धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत आपका धन्यवाद। नमस्कार।
Thank you.
जय हिंद।